Your healthcare work and experience is real. Your resume still gets skipped though. And usually that's not the work, it's just how you wrote the bullets. I've read a lot of these bullets from the other side of the table and rewritten plenty of them to lead with better impact so that people can see your value. So, in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you the one question that every bullet has the answer, the ladder that tells you which of your numbers matters most, and the exact flip that turns a buried task and experience into a bullet that gets interviews. Okay, let's go over how to make your resume stand out because some of you will have healthcare experience and work that's real, projects and analytics experience that you've done, but your resume still gets skipped. And it's typically the way that you're marketing and how you're writing your resume. And that's not because your work was weak, it's because you wrote it in a way that just shows what you do, but not the business impact or the dollar amount that you affect. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Every resume bullet should answer one question. What was this work worth to the business? Or if this is a project, what was the analysis doing? What was it still worth it to the made up business that you're still serving? Because all of the analysis and everything that we do, it should lead to a decision. It should improve a process because that's why the role was created. The analysis leads into some type of positive business impact or prevention that you're trying to make with the business. So most bullets never answer this. And I've seen a lot of resumes, and most people are just not good at writing bullets. They just list the task and what they do, and then they try to make it so that the reader has to figure everything out. But when people are looking at your resume, they're busy and they're probably going through a lot of different resumes and different candidates. So if you can't make it easy on the reader, then you make it easy for them to skip over you. So here are two ways people bury it. Mistake one is showing the action without the outcome. So this is what most people do. Responsible for building monthly HCC gap reports, coordinating with coding and clinical teams, running validation queries, and distributing findings to stakeholders. It's decent, but it's average. And the business value here is still hidden. Mistake two, what people do is they'll scale it and quantify the impact. They won't show the real business impact and they use the wrong number. So here would be analyzed claims across a 90,000 member Medicaid population. So we have the scale, it's a big population, but we don't know how they did it, nor do we know what changed in the business because of it. So you have task plus scale, but we need value in the business impact. So that's what you're going to lead with. That's going to be your headline. So task and scale can prove what you did, but they're not the win. They're not what you should be leading with. You need to lead with the dollar and the business impact if you can get that number. And usually you can. Almost any work comes down to a number if you dig enough down the chain and the work that you're doing and who it's affecting and who's using your work to make decisions. Lead with the most honest one that you can put on your resume and prove it with the healthcare details underneath. So this is something that I call an impact ladder that helps people figure out what your number you're going to lead with. So the top of this is going to be money made. This is the biggest number. This is usually the most memorable. It's revenue driven, revenue protected, or recovered. Now, a rung underneath that is money saved, cost cut, leakage recaptured, penalties avoided. And then underneath that would be KPI, key performance indicator, improved. It could be any tracked metric that was moved, quality, operational. That's important to the business and important to future departments and teams that you'll be hiring for. Next is decision driven. Leadership acted on your analysis and then it created something. Who in leadership acted on your analysis? Because sometimes people don't have enough information to figure out what KPI it improved, money saved, money made. So then this is going to be the next step that you can bring it up to. Maybe the VP acted on it. Maybe the director of your team acted on it. And then the one underneath that would be mistake prevented. Was there a clean audit because of this? Was there compliance risks that were closed? Was there 100% no error rates because of this? And then the last one is time saved, a cycle compressed against a deadline. But to be honest, with time saved, you can usually figure out your own time savings and then figure out who else uses the process. And then you could bring this up into a number depending on how many times it's ran, and you can get to money made. But if you can't figure that out or the number is not impressive enough, you could just lead with time saved. And then you have supporting numbers. It could be covered lives, volume, spend, who runs your output. It'll prove the number, but it's never going to be the one that you lead with. And the higher the rung, the harder it lands. Money sits on the top because it needs no translation, and it makes it easier to quantify your impact and justification for hiring you. Now, let's talk about how to use it and just a quick, simple little process. You think of the work, then you figure out where on this ladder that you can go to, then you figure out the value, and then the proof. So we saw earlier that somebody said they had monthly HCC gap reporting. That's the work. Now you want to classify and figure out on that impact ladder, where can you go on the highest rung and the honest rung. So that would be, let's select money made. Now you want to quantify this. Find the highest annual value, or it could be across your whole tenure as well. Just whatever is honest that you can attribute the work to. So here it could be 1.2 million a year. Now you need to prove that and put more details of how you got to that number. So you're going to put in the healthcare details specifically. It could be by addressing HCC gaps. You could have increased PMPM, which is per member per month, 450, and 22,000 Medicare Advantage members. Now, putting that all together, it could be recaptured 1.2 million a year in risk-adjusted revenue by closing HCC documentation gaps, about a 450 per member per month across a 22,000 member Medicare Advantage panel. You can see the difference that we flipped the task of what you were just doing to now the dollar amount and the business impact. You can see why this is more memorable, and it shows your value a lot more. Because before, it was responsible for building monthly HCC gap reports, coordinating with coding and clinical teams, and running validation queries. Now, after, it's recaptured 1.2 million a year in risk-adjusted revenue by closing HCC gap. And then after, you can see recaptured 1.2 million a year in risk-adjusted revenue by closing HCC documentation gaps is already strong. And then you add in the additional details, about 450 per member per month across 22,000 member Medicare Advantage panel. This is where people fall short, and this is still what you have in front of you, and it's the work that you did. You just bring it up to a level that people can understand a lot easier. And then if this sounds foreign to you, it's basically saying found diagnoses that were missing on paper so that the plan could get paid accurately for how sick its members really are, worth about 1.2 million a year. So that's basically the healthcare domain knowledge of it. This is the same work, the same person. The task just now looks significantly more valuable because you took more time to pull out the numbers and move the money up front and the business impact. Now let's take the other example and let's flip the scale to the dollar. So if you remember, it was analyzed claims across a 90,000 member Medicaid population. Now, after, we could do cut $210,000 a year in denial rework by fixing the top 3 front-end claims edits across a 90,000 member Medicaid population. Again, this is the same member, and you're able to bring out more of the value. And then in claims, in plain English, what this bullet means is claims kept getting rejected and reworked by hand. I fixed the top errors up front so the team stopped redoing them, and that saved $210,000. You can see the bigger impact because before, it led with 90,000 member Medicaid population, but that's not the win. That's not what we want to show. It's the proof and the impact that you have that show your value more than the scale. Now, one thing I need to mention so that people don't go out of hand with this is there is an honesty rule. You can't lie. You can't fabricate things. The evidence sets the ceiling of your bullets. So you can only, on this impact ladder, climb only as high as your evidence and as you can defend. So say we have an example where the only outcome that you can prove is time saved. You can't prove money made, money saved. You don't have any KPI decisions or mistakes prevented. So your evidence ceiling is going to just be time saved, and you just lead with that. So a true lower rung where you're honest about it is going to be more important than inflating a higher one, because you will get grilled at these interviews. And if you can't defend it, and you don't have logic on showing how you got to that number, it will be a bad time for you. Now, here's another thing that people get confused about is your hardest work is not going to be your best bullet. Just because of the effort that you put into the work that you did, if the business impact is as impactful, then it might not be your best bullet, depending on the job that you're applying for. If the job that you're applying for is looking for specific technical things, then you would have that in there, but you would also want to lead with your best bullet that has your best, biggest impact, your biggest defensible dollar and scale that you can bring it up to, because that will prove your value to the business and it'll prove your impact. Because oftentimes I'll see that people will headline or lead with the complex query and the technical details of a huge population, but the technical work that you do is for the business to improve and to make a decision to make the business better. So you want to lead with the money so that you have better proof and because it's more memorable. What I want you to work on so that we can take action on this is, for this impact ladder, take one of the bullets that you have on your resume currently and write that bullet exactly as it appears. Now, you want to go through the impact ladder, go back to the video, look at that ladder, and then see where you can bring this up to. Is it money made, money saved, KPI, decision, mistake, or time saved? And then you have your value plus your proof. As you remember earlier, we went with annual value, and then we showed it with the proof of the per member per month, PMPM, and then the population size. Then I want you to rewrite and make it better and keep iterating on it. And then you'll see how you can keep improving your bullets from where you are currently to, and then you can see how you can improve your bullets of where you are currently to being able to market your value significantly better where people can understand it. This is where a lot of people lack. And this is one of the best first exercises, because after you do this, you'll be able to find the gaps of you as a candidate. And then you can start working on them as you keep applying, because now you have your best resume, and then you can work on the longer term fixes as you still apply and make yourself a better candidate. Now, do you want support on your bullets and rewriting your resumes? You can get them reviewed by me. Inside the Healthcare Analyst Lab, I give you direct feedback on your resume bullets and do public coaching so that you and everyone else can see what you need to work on. You can see what other people need to work on so that everyone can learn together. So right now we have a free trial, 7-day free trial. Check it out if it's a fit for you. Link is in the description for more details. So check it out, see if it's a fit. And if not, no worries. Now career responsibly, and check out this next video on why you're not getting hired. And it could be how you're marketing yourself and how you're positioning yourself inside the market. So watch that now and figure that out.